What we wanted to do is give the costumes a modern feel to them, but still a quality of the period in which the piece started. So a sort of Victorian feel to them. And so a way into that was to think about the storytelling, and I know Jackie spoke to this idea of people telling the story over and over again. So what I did clothing-wise is look at different decades and how those decades had reinterpreted Victorian clothing. So it's almost as if the story was woken up in different time periods. What's interesting for the cutters is I'm asking them to do period, but not with the strict rules of all their historic research.
It's really interesting to try and get the cutters to interpret a period instead of strictly doing Victorian. So it has been fun to try and get people out of their box a little bit, because what we do here is so strictly period so much of the time that it's a bit of a challenge to try and get people to think of different eras and meld them all together as one. So it's been a lot of fun.
Certainly color-wise, I had a sort of color scheme worked out ahead of time. I knew I wanted, and although it's made people laugh, but the colors a bruise goes through its, a bruise has a certain color range from beginning to end. It's a sort of appropriate for the show anyway, but it gave me a really great color scheme to work off of. All the clothing has an aged quality to it. Like none of those people have come off fresh and happy and unmarred by something. Everyone in the show has been marred by some event. And so where I choose to use light and dark is also very specific.
I have 10 liters of blood sitting in my office right now, which is a little creepy. And then we water it down accordingly for each application of the blood. So if it's in the knife, it's a little bit thicker than if it's in some other thing that we're using on an actor, depending on the look that you want for each specific kill. Like we make sure that anyone that's being killed has extra shirts and extra collars so that they can all go in the wash right away. So even if they have to come back on in a different capacity, they can just change into something clean. And we also make extras. So make a couple of sets of costumes for people that are going to get covered in blood every night.
When I work with Judith, she always has something new and innovative. She was, when she was talking through the show with us, she said that she was thinking of fire and ice for a design inspiration. So consequently, she started doing her research and came across imprinting rust onto fabric. For one of the characters in Sweeney Todd, it's the beggar, and Judith always has lots of references, and she's done some research, and there's a way of imprinting color and design on fabric using metal objects. I went shopping in the metal shop, and you can see here that I have all sorts of different shapes and textures of metal. So Judith was pretty excited about the way it looks all rusty, and she said maybe we'll incorporate this into the set because it all has the same feeling, so we'll wait and see.
I need to see it under light. I need to know how it's reacting with the colors of the lights and how much intensity of light they're in. Because sometimes you can break down a shirt and the moment you put it under stage light, it looks clean again. And when you take it out, it looks completely dirty. So the stage light can be, in this case, unhelpfully forgiving. And then once you start hitting previews, you're adding the element of trying to see if the audience is understanding the story. And there are times when that can adjust the clothes. If they can't follow, if something we've assumed was easy to follow is actually not as clear, then sometimes we need to make adjustments clothing-wise to clear up the visual picture of that story, really.